members of the Board of Education for joining us today for another informal lunch. Continue to get to know each other better and talk about common issues that we face. Like a couple of other council members, I had a chance to attend the opening event at Gibbs Elementary School in Germantown, Clarksburg area, Mosstow. That was a beautiful new school, very green and named after a terrific advocate for racial equality in Montgomery County. So it was great to see the new school and great to hear the remarks. I know that the President of the School Board, Shirley Brandman, has been very busy with all manner of things, and we had a chance to talk before the meeting about some of the items that we wanted to pursue today, and one was really to talk about the enrollment trends that we're continuing to see as even in this early part of the year that are more dramatic than we're even predicting. So that might be a good first topic. But since I know there are a couple of new members of the school board, relatively still, that I don't think were here at our last meeting, I think it might make sense to have an introduction. So perhaps you could make any comments you'd like to make to President Brandon, and then lead us in the introductions.
Great. Okay, well, I'm just going to take an opportunity to share a celebration. Many of the board members had a chance this morning to come from Highland Elementary School, which has just been recognized as one of the National Blue Ribbon Schools. There are only 300 in the country, and we had the honor of having Secretary Duncan come to Highland to congratulate the incredibly inspiring principal, who was also recognized for a distinctive award from the federal government for his work. The incredibly dedicated teachers and the students, and there were a lot of parents in the audience, and all were recognized and thanked for a really amazing turnaround story at Highland of what can happen with dedication and true commitment. So it's just it was really an inspirational moment, and I think a lot of us are still glowing, so we wanted to be sure to lead off with that. And to congratulate all of us, because it really is our communal investment in education that makes a lot of this possible. So with that, I'm Shirley Brandon. I'm happy to be here, and I will turn to one of my new colleagues, and we can just go around and do introductions.
Good afternoon. I'm Mike Durso, member of the Board of Education.
Judy Daca, member of the Board of Education. Laura McNeil, member of the Board of Education.
And Roger Berliner, representing Bethesda Chevy Chase Summit.
Mark Elridge, at-large council member.
Chris Barkley, member of the board.
Nancy Navarro, council member, District 4.
Jerry Weiss, superintendent.
Hi, Nancy Florine, at-large council member.
Dutchie Trachtenberg, at-large.
George Leventhal, council member at large.
Heather Neal, member of the board.
Phil Kaufman, member of the board. Tim Wong, member of the board. Phil Andrews, President of the Council, and
Valerie Irvin, Chair of the Ed Committee, and welcome to Mike Durso, one of the best principals in the county. Hey, we're going to miss you in Springbrook.
They do.
My daughter's there.
Mike Knapp, council member, member of the Ed Committee.
good to see everybody. And I think we might want to just launch into what's going on in this first week of school. What trends are you seeing, especially with enrollment? I know we first Bell here, who's the demographic enrollment expert for the school system. Perhaps we can start with that. What are we seeing? Dr. Weiss, what are you seeing?
I think Bruce would be good, but I think how it will inform the policy is that Joe Lavorgny is here also. And there's an intersection, I think, that is meeting right now. And while not everything is good right now, construction costs are very good. They're down about 30% in our last 12 bids on the average.
That's good.
The second thing is that with all of the stimulus money, there's a lot of concern about what inflation will be. And right now, there's not much paper out there being issued by counties. And so it's a time for bonds, and they're the cheapest interest rate that they've been in many, many years. I've been following it, and this is my 34th year as a superintendent. So bonds are cheap, paper is in demand, and construction costs are down. And this is the second unanticipated largest enrollment that we had, and last year was the largest unanticipated enrollment we had 2 years in a row, that are not being driven totally by the birth rate. So the birth rate is at its highest it's been in the county's history. So those little feet are gonna come marching into kindergarten. And in the last 2 years, we got an unanticipated 1,500 more than we thought last year. And this year, it looks like it's gonna be about 2,200. So the kids are here, bonds are cheap, construction is cheap. It's time to go for a CIP. And then you have the moratorium issues. And this is a good time to get rid of those issues, do the right things with the children, and build the construction. And I think Bruce has got some additional data that, anything you might want to share. He's been doing this for a long time, and we haven't seen anything like this since the 80s.
Right, it's the, well, kindergarten passed 10,000 a couple years ago, and that's been growing dramatically, especially, and I think one of the big factors there was we implemented full-day kindergarten fully at all elementary schools beginning in 2006. So we're getting students who might have some opted out for non-public for kindergarten, some came back, some didn't. Now they're starting right with public schools, and I think it's expanding. So a lot of that big jump in kindergarten, I think, has been the full-day K program. The other thing that's been happening the last 2 years, which has been a surprise, was the economy is very weak, and the housing market's not bringing in too many new households. The turnover is not too great. But what that's doing is it's actually restricting people who might be moving out further in outer suburbs or further away. There's always this sort of movement into the county as well as movement out. And what we're seeing now, more than movement in, is a real drop in the number of students exiting the system to go wherever they might have gone previously. So the trend there is we're holding on to more students than previously through that normal transaction of turnover of communities and people moving around for all sorts of life reasons.
We were with the Secretary of Education. Those trends that you're seeing are not evenly distributed across the country. There are systems who are actually losing enrollment across the country. We're gaining enrollment and gaining it at a fairly high rate. So I don't think the citizens need to worry that we're going to go down in numbers because of the birth rate. Hopefully it'll slow down, as far as internally coming. But the very good news, I think, is that the other thing is that it seems to be that our employees have still been able to take that extra challenge and turn it into kids who are more college ready. This is the start of National Hispanic Month, for example, today. And just like we celebrate the African American Heritage Month. Yesterday, there was a big conclave from the Hispanic Congress members downtown, where they were visiting with all of the Obama administration. We had 40 students at it. And we will have the Black Caucus, about 50 students on Monday. What really was interesting is that they were pushing for the census. And that out of the next 120 million people in America, 80 million of them will be Latino. And they were also talking about the Latino college graduation rate. And I've told you that the African American college graduation rate, as we buy the information from the College Clearinghouse, is equal to the graduation rate for all students. Our Latino graduation rate is more than twice the national rate. And so you have a need, you have a growth, you have performance issues that you want to keep stable. So we'll be bringing the board, my administration,